Let's play while sitting at home. We invite you to participate in the traveling game Kazakh Quest and test your knowledge about your favorite city, learn new facts, be surprised, and have a laugh. 12 cities of Kazakhstan and celebrities who agreed to complete the quest. Brave and smart travelers, how much patience, strength, and knowledge they need to stay in the game. 1 city, 2 chances for a clue. 3 tasks, 4 blitz questions, and 5 most beautiful places in each city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go! In the previous program, Aidyn visited the oil capital of Kazakhstan, Atyrau, a city located at the junction of Europe and Asia. We managed to see the reaches of the Golden Man, visit Victory Park and Retro Park, and of course tried the famous Atyrau fish. Aidyn solved all the tasks and today he is traveling to a new city. Turkistan is one of the oldest cities in Central Asia. It is more than 1,500 years old. The city was once the capital of the Kazakh Khanate. The structures built in the time of Tamerlane, the commander and founder of the Timurid Empire, are still preserved here. Historical sites are included in the list of the cultural heritage of UNESCO. Turkistan is truly the sacred land of Kazakhstan. 21 Khans, 52 Batus, 19 bees, and 8 sultans are buried here. Pilgrims from all over the world come to pay their respect to these shrines. Therefore, the city is called the Second Mecca. 3 pilgrimages to Turkistan is equivalent to a small pilgrimage to Mecca. Also, Turkistan is considered the gastronomic capital of Kazakhstan. I will personally check how true is that. Let's go! The word Turkistan is of Iranian origin and is translated as the country of the Turks. Historically, this name represented a huge territory from the Jungar Mountains to the Aral Sea. In the Middle Ages, the Kazakhs' ancestors, Kipchaks, Argans, Dulats, and Jalayirs lived here. On these lands, the Khans received foreign ambassadors, held meetings on major state issues. It was here that the representatives of the Muslim clergy and Turkic rulers were buried. The history of this city begins in the 6th century BC, when 2 cities arose in the Turkestan oasis, Shaugar and Yassi. Subsequently, Turkestan appeared in this place. The city reached its heyday by the 12th century. But the Mongol invasion took a heavy toll on the city. But soon the oasis in the desert again became a major political and economic center. The most famous resident of Turkestan was, of course, the scientist and philosopher Khoja Ahmed Yasawi. He became the founder of the Turkic branch of Sufism and gained a lot of followers. Therefore, after his death, the city became one of the centers of religious pilgrimage. Now Turkestan is a fairly large city with more than 10 industrial enterprises, most of which specialize in the production of cotton, clothing, and agricultural products. The population of the city is about 170,000 people. A huge number of tourists come to the city every year. Some go to Turkestan to worship holy places, others to immerse in history, learn about the legends and myths of the ancient, more than 1,500-year-old city. To get here, you can travel from Shymkent by a bus or a taxi. You can get here from other large cities of Kazakhstan by train, as well as by tourist or regular buses. By the way, I came here from Shymkent by taxi. It took me only 2.5 hours along a comfortable highway. The price of minibuses starts from 1,500 tenge, and a seat in a taxi costs about 2,000 to 3,000 tenge. Can you imagine? The railway station behind my back was built back in 1905, just a year after the foundation of railway transportation in Kazakhstan. It was then that the construction of more than 1,600 kilometers in length Orenburg-Tashkent railway began. Cities and industrial centers grew along the railway line, and Turkistan was one of them. Just look at these doorknobs. Just like 100 years ago, people touched them to open the door to a new world and go on a journey. I wonder if it is a tiger or a lion. Let's see what's inside. Now this station building is included in the list of historical and cultural monuments of Kazakhstan. Delicious! If you want to have a snack and a buffer with a 100-year history, make sure to visit the Turkistan railway station. But I think that the main attractions of the city are waiting for us ahead, and these are those that are much older than this station. I think it's time to get the first task. Kazakh Quest. I'm waiting for it.
You're absolutely right. Turkistan is full of historical monuments of past centuries. The ancient city you need to find in the past was a huge oasis and center of Asian culture. It is believed that it was the place of the world's second largest library. It was here that the greatest thinker of the East, Al-Farabi, was born, and the great commander and Khan Tamerlane found his death. And the destruction of the city became one of the most massive and bloody in the history of Kazakhstan. Go in search of the ancient city, and there will be a second task waiting for you.
Turkistan and its surroundings are full of ancient monuments and cities. I would love to see them all, but I don't have much time, so I'll use some help. Kazakh Quest, give me some information about the ancient cities. There are still ruins of the great cities of the Middle Ages near Turkistan. Oterar was the main city in the area, but besides it, there were other towns as well. Buruk, Keder, Visij, Sauran were located near Oterar, or Farab. Oterar was a major cultural and religious center on the Silk Road, a flourishing oasis and a place where great scientists lived. In Arabic sources, it was called Farab. It was attacked many times, but the city rose from the ashes and started a new life numerous times. It existed for over 2,000 years, while Sauran, its neighbor, was an unapproachable fortress. The city was surrounded by an impassable moat and 7 walls. Even the great Genghis Khan could not win Sauran over. The city was fortified and guarded so well. So, wait a minute. The city of Oterar was called Farab in Arab sources. I guess probably Al-Farabi was from these places.
You're absolutely right. The scientist Nisba contains another name for the city, Farab. The great Sufi was born exactly there.
Oh, wow! Aidyn, well done. Kazakh Quest, now build me a route. I'm going to Oterar. A long time ago, the capital of this territory was Oterar, or as it was called in Arabic sources, Farab. It was a trade hub on the way from west to east. On this territory, there were rich pastures and, most importantly, access to fresh water. Therefore, it was actively inhabited by nomads, and the city itself was considered a point for nomads where they could rest and stock up on food. In addition, many caravan routes passed through Oterar. Due to its location, the city developed rapidly, and by the 12th century it was already the largest trade center for artisans and arts in the region, with palaces, caravanserais, and city quarters. Arab scholars of the Middle Ages in their chronicles wrote about Oterar as a powerful trade, economic, cultural center, not only of Kazakhstan, but of the whole of Central Asia. According to legend, Oturar was one of the few cities in the Middle East with a library. It is believed that the Oturar Book Depository, founded by Abu Nasir al-Farabi, had at least 33,000 volumes, and only the Library of Alexandria surpassed it in size. As for Al-Farabi, in 2020 the world community celebrates its 1150th anniversary. Kazakhs, Uzbeks, Arabs, Persians, Turkmens and Afghans consider him to be their ancestor. But he was born exactly here in Oturar, on the Kazakh land. Just imagine, Al-Farabi knew more than 70 languages of the world. At the beginning of the 13th century, Genghis Khan sent a caravan to Oturar. The merchants passed on a message to the head of the city. According to one version, it was a proposal for an alliance. According to the other, they offered to serve Genghis Khan. In response, Genghis Khan's messengers were accused of espionage and the ambassadors were executed. At all times, the assassination of ambassadors was considered a signal to start a war. Genghis Khan sent the army of 150,000 soldiers to Oturar. The siege of the city lasted 6 months, but in the end it fell. Oturar was burned to the ground, and all its residents were killed. Despite the fact that Oturar was burnt and practically wiped off the face of the earth, after 2 decades, life started here again. The city was rebuilt and revived again as a convenient center on the way of caravan trails. In the second half of the 14th century, this territory was included in the empire of Tamerlane. I got to Oturar and I'm sure that this place is the solution to my first task. Kazakh Quest, what do you say?
Congratulations! You have found an ancient oasis and a great medieval city, Oturar. And even though now it looks completely different, but the air here is saturated with history and an entire civilization is at your feet.
Yes! Well done! By the way, on the way here, I read that research on Oturar has been underway since the 19th century, and for good reason. Many people believe that the Oturar treasure, the very library that disappeared without a trace during the Mongol invasion, is still somewhere there. The legend claims that the Oturar library will be found by a 7-year-old boy who was not yet born at that time. So if you have children of this age, be sure to take them to Oturar. Who knows? Maybe your son will find the greatest treasure on the territory of the Kazakh steppe. And here is my second task.
As ancient civilizations teach us, water cannot only destroy, but also create. Water caused the death of Oturar, but it also gives people life-giving force and heals from diseases. There are more than 7 healing springs in the vicinity of Turkistan, which attract pilgrims from all over the world. Your second task will be waiting for you in the Hazrat Sultan complex, in the historical center of Turkistan. But don't rush, not a single pilgrim goes there without visiting another sacred place before. Find this place and drink a healing water from its well, and only then go to the Zhasybai mausoleum.
Interesting, but too confusing. I'll take a hint. Kazakh Quest, help me. What place are we talking about? According to legends, by the order of Emir Tamerlane, the construction of a mosque began over the grave of Khoja Ahmed Zhasybai, but all attempts to build the walls failed. A strong storm demolished them. Tamerlane completely lost his peace, but one night he saw a saint in his dream who said that first a mausoleum should be built over the grave of another saint, and only then over the grave of Khoja Ahmed Zhasybai. That is why the pilgrimage takes place in this order. Thanks, Kazakh Quest! Now I'm even more confused. So, let's think. Whose mausoleum could be more important than the mausoleum of Zhasybai himself? Maybe it was a person close to him, a relative, or a teacher. Yes, so many times I heard the legend about Aristan Bab, the teacher of Ahmed Zhasybai. Well, Kazakh Quest, build me a route. We will go to the mausoleum of Aristan Bab. Turkistan is rightfully called the second Mecca. Precious monuments of Islamic traditions are concentrated here. The Turkistan region is of great historical value not only for Muslims. Pilgrims from all over the world come here to pay their respect to ancient shrines. The mausoleum of Aristan Bab is located near the Oturar settlement. This is one of the most revered places for the country's residents. Aristan Bab is a truly legendary person, Batir and sage, an associate of Muhammad. After Tamerlane finished the construction of the mausoleum of Aristan Bab, he began to build the mausoleum of his student. The huge, castle-like, brightly tiled museum and the Kazakh Khanate mausoleum are striking in their scale and are must-see places for everyone who comes to Turkistan. The original bricks with glazed and colored majolica have survived to this day through the centuries. The composition of the glaze with which the facing tiles are covered remains a mystery to scientists. There are several mausoleums on the territory of the museum reserve. One of them is Gaukar Ana Mausoleum, the tomb of the daughter of Zhasybai, the great healer. Today, women come to this sacred place hoping to be healed and have children. To do this, they pour water from the healing well and pray to Gaukar. The historical center of Turkistan is also home to many other Islamic monuments. It is worth seeing the Hilvet Underground Mosque, the Juma Mosque Museum, the Oriental Bath Museum, the Museum of the History of Turkistan, the Museum of Archaeology and Ethnography, and also the Rabia Sultan Begim Museum Mausoleum.
While you're on the road, let's refresh history lessons. Answer a few questions.
With so much knowledge, I will not just become a historian, but a real doctor of historical sciences.
Who built the mausoleum of Khoja Ahmed Yasawi?
Tamerlane.
What great Khan is buried in the mausoleum of Aziran Sultan?
Abilai Khan.
What is the second name of the city of Oturar?
Farab.
Congratulations! You answered all the questions correctly, and as a bonus, you can ask me one question.
Tell me about the rules of visiting holy places.
Before going to the temple, you must first perform ablution. Wear clean clothes. When entering the mausoleum, take off your shoes. Your head must be covered. You should not expose your shoulders, back, chest, and knees. Men should not wear shorts. Young women must have a scarf with them.
I think I am ready to visit the mausoleum. And what about you? Aristan Bab was a famous religious mystic and preacher, but he entered history first of all as a teacher and spiritual mentor of the great thinker, poet, preacher, and Sufi Khoja Ahmed Yasawi. It is believed that he was a follower of the Prophet Muhammad. According to the legend, Prophet Muhammad asked to pass on the invaluable blessing and gift to a person who would continue his teaching. During a meal with his followers, the Prophet, noticing the persimmon that was constantly rolling off the dish, said, "This persimmon is intended for the Muslim Ahmed, who will be born 400 years after you." And he asked which of his followers would like to pass on this knowledge. Aristan Bab volunteered, asking Allah to grant him a long life. Traveling around the world, he kept this blessing for the chosen one. Once a boy came out to meet him and said, "Please, give me my blessing. I know you have it." It was Khoja Ahmed Yasawi. Having received the great gift of the Prophet, Ahmed gave his first legendary blessing, which to this day serves as a motto for many pilgrims. Start your path from Aristan Bab. When you come to Azirat, ask. Aristan Bab took him as a disciple. In addition to the study of Quran, Aristan Bab taught him secular sciences such as Arabic, Persian, and Turkic languages, the basics of poetry and music. It's difficult to say who Aristan Bab really was. History calls him either a wandering saint or a local ruler sheikh. Legends say that he got his nickname because he wandered the earth for a long time and acquired supernatural powers. Allegedly, he became friends with lions and could even ride them freely. But it is quite possible that Aristan Bab is not one person but a whole dynasty. This is how the title of the Sufi saints used to be called. A Kazakh proverb that says, "Oturar has 30 wise men, Sairam has unlimited wise men," survived to this day. Unfortunately, the original mausoleum of Aristan Bab built by Tamerlane did not survive. It was destroyed by an earthquake. The mausoleum was rebuilt more than 3 times. In fact, there is little information about Aristan Bab. When the spiritual mentor and poet Qazaq Yasawi turned 63, according to legend, he had to leave the vanity of the world to serve the Almighty God. He settled in an underground cell in the city of Yassi, near the mosque, where he spent the rest of his life. He wrote, "I do not want to survive the age of the Prophet Muhammad. I would rather leave a trace for my descendants. I only ask the Almighty for forgiveness for my sins and leave the world in an underground cell to study science." There he wrote his famous book, Divani Hikmat, in the Turkic language. He dedicated the 90th chapter to his mentor Aristan Bab. His grave is on the land of Farab, on the western side of the city. One of the best patron spirits is Aristan Bab. To the right of him is Lashin Baba. To the left is Karga Baba, the king of all Babs. Aristan Bab, so Qazaq Yasawi said. The place where we are at the moment is a mosque. This is a part of the mosque. You see a mihrab. That is the point that is directed to Mecca. During the day, people come here to make 2 rak'ahs for the mosque. And those who come with an overnight stay make a 5-time prayer, asking the Almighty for blessing. Marjan, thanks. I learned a lot of information. Can we visit the mausoleum of Aristan Bab? I'll show you the burial place of Aristan Bab. Let's go. As I said, this is the burial place of Aristan Bab. The length of the grave is 3 meters 90 centimeters. The height is 1 meter 30 centimeters. And the width is 1 meter 20 centimeters. The grave was built with 2 layers of bricks. This place is called Borhana. The place where the great teacher rests is located in the center of the mausoleum. Do you have information on how many people visit the mausoleum per year? Or how many people visit a day? Can I tell you the figure per day? Yes, the average amount. There are a lot of people on Friday and Sunday. Up to 1,500, 2,000 people a day can come here. Also here are the graves of Aristan Bab's students, Lashin Baba and Karga Baba. Aristan Bab had followers. They spread and preached religion. And also on the right side of the entrance, there is the grave of Sherimbet Azir Bab. He was a pilgrim and keeper of the mausoleum. Should those who come here be sure to pay tribute to the saints and pray. They pray especially for Aristan Bab, and as a tribute for all the preachers we mentioned before. Great, Marjan! I received a huge spiritual boost. I hope it was clear for our viewers too. Thank you for the information. Bye. Goodbye. Thank you. There are many holy springs in Turkestan and in its vicinity. One of the most famous wells is located at the mausoleum of Aristan Bab, the teacher of the great Sufi Qazaq Yasawi. The taste is a little bit salty. They say this water is useful for treating diseases of the gastrointestinal tract. Interestingly, some pilgrims may have black sediments at the bottom of the water tank upon arrival. In this case, according to the locals, you cannot drink the water, and a person should think about how much he has sinned in his life.
You visited the grave of the teacher, and now you can pay a visit to his student Qazaq Yasawi. The mausoleum has a huge number of rooms, but one of them has an interesting story. You know that the Prophet Muhammad passed away at 63. Ahmed Yasawi decided to change his life at the same age. He hid himself from prying eyes in a room. Find it. Hurry, an expert is already waiting for you near the mausoleum. He will help you solve complicated mysteries.
centuries. Hooray! I'm getting closer to the victory. I have already read that the Azred Sultan complex, where the mausoleum of Zhasybai is located, consists of more than 150 objects, and I won't be able to solve everything on my own. But I was lucky, because today, Birgan, a museum worker, researcher, and a real expert will help me. Hello, how are you? I am very well, thank you. I hope you will help me in solving the Kazakh quest. I am sure you know the answer to the second question. I will gladly give you an excursion to Azred Sultan. Maybe this will bring you closer to the answer. It's always like this. I have to do it all by myself. Okay, let's go on a tour. Now we're going to the Azred Sultan complex. The complex opened in 1991, and the mausoleum of Qazaq Zhasybai became its central object. By the way, this is the first monument of Kazakhstan which was included in the list of UNESCO heritage sites. The area of the museum reserve is about 90 hectares. Most of the secrets hidden on the territory of the State Historical and Cultural Museum Reserve Azred Sultan have yet to be solved by archaeologists. For example, quite recently, during excavations on the territory of Old Turkistan, archaeologists discovered a caravanserai, an oriental bath, a ceramic workshop, and an educational institution that date back to the 18th, 19th centuries. It should be noted that these objects are extremely rare, and the school was actually the first educational institution found on the territory of Turkestan. At first, archaeologists decided that it was a madrasa, but during research, they realized that this was a school that was divided into two parts. The first part was for boys, and the second for girls. In this school, students learned how to read and write, after which they entered the madrasa. We all remember from this school curriculum that Qazaq Zhasybai was a Sufi poet and preacher. The founder of the Sufi school had great authority among the Muslims of the region and had a significant impact on Islam in Central Asia. He was honored and respected so much that even during his lifetime, there was an expression in Medina Muhammad, in Turkestan, Qazaq Ahmet. Ahmet was born in the city of Yazd. His mother died early, and his father died when he was 7 years old. Aristan Bab was the first preacher and educator of the child. After his death, 17-year-old Ahmet arrived in the city of Yazd. From this age, he began to write poetry in Arabic, Chagatai, Persian, and Turkic languages. He studied Oriental poetry and literature. Then he went to the madrasa of Imam Yusuf Hamadani in the city of Bukhara. Kazan was cast from an alloy of 7 noble metals in 1399 in the village of Qazaq, located 25 kilometers from the city of Turkestan. It was presented by Tamerlane. The height of the cauldron is 158.3 centimeters. The largest diameter along the edge of the rim is 243.3 centimeters. The weight of the cauldron itself is about 2 tons. It could hold about 3,000 liters of water. The boiler was specially made for the mausoleum of Qazaq Zhasybai by Tamerlane's order on June the 25th, 1399. Once upon a time, sweetened water was poured into the cauldron, which was distributed at the end of Friday prayers. The inscriptions on the cauldron consist of 3 parts. The upper page contains an excerpt from the 9th surah of the Quran, which is continued by the legend of the Prophet, where the name of the ruler by whose order the cauldron was made and the date of its manufacture are indicated. The second strip is divided into 20 cartouches by 10 alternating knobs and 10 large handles, fixed on loops protruding from the body. 2 cartouches located next to each other bear the signature of the master. Master Abdulaziz ibn Sharafuddin from Tabriz. The third strip contains an Arabic inscription about the power of God, repeated 22 times. At the top of the whole you see the dome. This dome is the highest in Kazakhstan and the whole of Central Asia. The height is 39 meters inside, while outside it reaches 41 meters. In addition to Taikazan, the mausoleum contains very old exhibits of the 14th century. These are the entrance doors to the mausoleum and the doors to the burial ground. The doors to the burial ground where the gravestone of Khoja Ahmed Yasawi is located. And also, in addition to the rooms located in the mausoleum, you can see beautiful historical places around the mausoleum itself. This is an underground cell mosque, Friday Mosque, the house where Ahmed Yasawi lived. This is the cell in which Ahmed Yasawi began to live after he turned 63. And also, you can see the Oriental bath of the 16th century. In ancient times, this bath was visited not only by local residents, but also by pilgrims who were heading to Mausoleum of Khoja Ahmed Yasawi, a Sufi poet who had a significant impact on Islam in Central Asia. The Eastern bathhouse is halfway deep into the earth. The building has several rooms: a dressing room, a main washing room, rooms with hot and cold water, a massage room, and other rooms. The Oriental bath was used until 1975, and in 1979 the bath, as an example of medieval architectural art, was turned into a museum. Utensils of the 19th, 20th centuries have been also preserved here. Perhaps the main uniqueness of the mausoleum as an architectural complex lies in the fact that it will never be completed. Work stopped with the death of Tamerlane in 1405. Therefore, the entrance portal and internal premises remained unfinished. We came to a special place. This is the underground mosque Kilvet. In general, there are many similar mosques on the territory of Central Asia and Kazakhstan. This one is famous for the fact that Yasawi spent his last years there. Was he alone the whole time? Yes. At 63 years old, at the age of the Prophet Muhammad, Yasawi imprisoned himself in an underground cell, as he believed that he could not see the sun longer than the Prophet himself saw it. There is different information as to how many years Ahmed Yasawi actually lived. He died in this cell, and then he was buried there as a saint. I seem to have found the answer to the second question. Let's go down. I am ready to answer the second question. The place where Yasawi spent the rest of his life in seclusion is Hilvet.
Congratulations! You managed to find the final resting place of Ahmed Yasawi, the place where he spent more than 10 years of his life in seclusion. After the death of the preacher, thousands of pilgrims began to come to Turkestan to honor his memory. And since Tamerlane built a mausoleum here,
their number grows each year. The second task is completed.
Саған рахмет.
Bakbirgen, unfortunately it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for your support. Bye. Aidyn, thank you very much too. All the best. Until we meet again. Great. Goodbye. Goodbye. So, Kazakh Quest, I'm ready for the third task.
in Turkestan, in addition to historical monuments, there are many interesting and modern objects. Your next task will be waiting for you in a new city. The structure was built for modern residents, but its roots are lost far in history. Even the ancient Greeks used such buildings for public events. Your last task is to find this building.
Yes, this place is just really steeped in history. But I never saw modern Turkestan. They say that a grandiose construction is going on right now. Turkistan received the status of a regional center on June 19, 2018. Now the city has embraced a construction boom. Social facilities began to appear and the construction of tourist complexes and mosques began. Today, 29 facilities are under construction in Turkistan, of which 17 are being built in a new administrative and business center. This is the building of the regional governor's office, the Astana Square, a media center, a sports school of the Olympic Reserve, a park, a musical school, and a public service center. By the way, the transformation of the city promises to be extraordinary, but at the same time the regional center will retain its historical appearance. All objects will be built in a way so that it creates cohesiveness between historical and modern styles. An airport is being built from scratch in the city, which will be able to receive up to 3 million passengers a year. By the way, Turkistan Airport can get into the Guinness Book of Records for the fastest construction in the world. We'll see. In the near future, they plan to launch 2-story electric buses and restore the medieval market. Buses, by the way, will operate in the historical center of Turkistan and will be intended only for tourists. The construction of the linear park is in full swing. Inside the park, there will be the caravan road, which promises to become the hallmark of Turkistan. In the new city park, with an area of 11 hectares, there will also be an open-air pool. Its length is 67 meters. With such a large-scale construction, it seems that in a few years, Turkistan will become a new oasis in the Kazakh steppe. Well, we look forward to it. So I need to find a modern building, but with Greek motives. What could it be? The Greeks knew a lot about mass events. Maybe it is a theater or a hippodrome. Probably the locals know for sure. I will ask them. Excuse me, but is there a Greek theater here? Hello, is there a Greek theater here? Yes, you need to go down this direction, just a short walk, then turn left, and you will see an amphitheater. Amphitheater? Yes, exactly. Exactly. The amphitheaters came to us from Greece. I'll go there. I'm sure I'm right. I'll take the bus. I received the following information from Kazakh Quest. Until last year, the bus fare was 50 tenge and this price was the lowest in Kazakhstan. Now a bus ride will cost you 70 tenge, but still is cheaper than in Almaty or Nur Sultan. So friends, I came to the amphitheater. What a beauty! Kazakh Quest, please give me some information about this place. In honor of the City Day, governors' offices of other regions presented their gifts to Turkistan. For example, the amphitheater was a gift from Mangistau region. The area of the complex is designed for 1,000 seats. This is the spiritual and cultural center of Turkistan. The amphitheater was built in a modern style in the open air. I am ready to answer. A modern building inspired by ancient Greece is the amphitheater.
You're absolutely right. Congratulations on solving the third task.
Hooray! Well, friends, Aidyn, who is the winner today, deserves a good lunch. I'll check if it's really as tasty here as everyone says, and at the same time, I'll walk around the city. Well, it's not for nothing that Turkistan is called the gastronomic capital of Kazakhstan. There is an incredible Uzbek pilaf and samsa, but the prices are not even close to those we have in the capital. For all this, I paid less than 2,000 tenge. Well, let's taste all of it. Delicious. Here's a piece of advice from Aidyn. Drop everything and come here. In Turkistan, you can not only travel back in time and visit holy places, enrich yourself with spiritual food, but also get a simple, human, gastronomic pleasure. A marvelous city. Turkistan is an incredible place where every brick kept a 1,000-year history. I felt myself here like a real treasure hunter. It's a bit sad I did not find the famous treasure of Genghis Khan, but I have time. There are other cities ahead. After all, I passed the Kazakh quest in Turkestan.